Well, welcome everyone. And thank you all so much for joining me again. So obviously you can have your cameras on, but if you can mute your microphones, so that obviously you can just hear my glorious voice. Sorry, that sounded very narcissistic there. Well, welcome all to my eyeliner masterclass. So obviously very exciting. We have finally launched 3 absolutely gorgeous new eyeliner shades. So I am going to talk through those and show those to you. But what I'm going to do, so I'm going to do 2 different kind of eyeliner looks. So I'm going to show you my kind of very easy way to be able to create a gorgeous feline flick with our liquid liner. And then I'm also going to show you a lovely kind of like soft, smudgy kind of diffuse look with our wonderful Ultra Color Pro gel eyeliners in one of the new shades. So obviously all of your questions, you can type them away. I will try and answer as I am doing this, but I will definitely leave some time at the end to be able to answer any questions. But I hope you all will enjoy this as much as I love eyeliner. I mean, it really does kind of make such a big difference, because I'm sure all of you guys can see I'm currently looking very lashless, because I have not seen my lash lady in a while. So eyeliner is just the perfect way to be able to kind of fill out that lash line. So let's get started. So firstly, we have 3 different types of eyeliners here at Beauty Pie. So we have our absolutely gorgeous liquid liners. And these are brilliant because they come in a felt tip pen, so they look like this. So we have a gorgeous black shade, which actually that one I've obviously used a little bit too much. So we have a gorgeous, deep, rich black, that one there. And then we have also just launched a wonderful dark brown as well, which is great for just giving a little bit of a softer look for the lashes. Then we also have our very, very classic Super Kohl eyeliners. And these come in, so 2 shades. So it comes in a really beautiful, soft black, which is that one there. And then it also comes in another shade called Brown Beauty, which that one is, again, dying on me. I've got to stop using these eyeliners so much. This is a problem. And so then that one there is Brown Beauty just at the top. So we then also have our Ultra Color Pro Gel eyeliners. So this is where we've kind of brought in more color, because colored eyeliners are a really great way to be able to kind of naturally boost your eye color. It's also a great way to kind of give a slightly softer definition to the eye area. Oh, Barbara, so brown, well, we need to get the right brown. Because yes, sometimes if there is a little bit too much red in the brown, that's when you can often get that kind of ever so slightly sore look for the eye area. So I would possibly suggest to maybe give something like molten bronze a try. So this one here is molten bronze. So it's got a little bit more of a kind of a cooler brown undertone to it. We then also have Copper Hazy, which is just that bit more of a coppery undertone there. We also have Turkish Coffee as well, which is a wonderful, rich, matte brown, which is that one there. We also have my favorite, which is Very Pretty Plum, which is a really gorgeous kind of aubergine shade. And so if you have hazel eyes and you want to kind of enhance the green that little bit more, Very Pretty Plum is your go-to. We then also have Deep Blue Sea, which is a really beautiful kind of dark navy tone. And then we have the 3 new absolutely stunning shades. So the first one is Elemental, which is a really wonderful kind of light, soft brown. Not brown, absolute lie. A lovely, light, soft silver. So it's just there. We then have, finally, after multiple requests, we have a gorgeous olive green. And so this one is called Glamouflage, which is that one there. And then we also have a much lighter matte brown. So Barbara, I would say this would not be the one which I would recommend for you, purely because I just think it's a little bit too light. And I just don't think, I think it could possibly kind of, again, err towards giving that slightly kind of more kind of, you know, pink or sore look to the eye area. So those are obviously our fantastic shades. And I honestly could not recommend them enough, because if you are naturally just that little bit more scared about applying color, particularly to the eye area, eyeliner is brilliant because it's something which you can just use in a really soft, kind of a small amount of color. And it's a great way to give kind of a little pop of life to the eye area. So now to start with the looks. So I'm going to start off with the liquid liner look. So I don't have anything on my eye area, and I'm trying to keep it kind of as simple as possible. And I'm going to go for Java Brown, purely because I'm addicted to this color. And I think it's a beautiful shade, which is not too harsh, but still gives, again, that wonderful kind of definition. So key thing is, when it comes to liquid liner can smell your fear. So don't be scared about it. And do it in kind of just small amounts, kind of do it step by step, because sometimes when you try and go all in one, that's when it can often go a little bit wrong. Another thing which I always like to recommend when it comes to liquid liner and liner in general, I do like to kind of mainly keep it on that outer edge of the eye, because when you go right into that inner corner of the eye, that can often close off the eye. But keeping it towards that outer edge, it helps to keep the eyes wonderful and kind of bright and open. So you struggle with matching both eyes. We've all been there. So the trick, which I'm going to show you with, I know I say this all the time, with one of my favorite makeup brushes, will definitely help to kind of get that to really match up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay the actual kind of pen flat to my top lash line. And I'm just going to kind of slowly apply that to the lid. So I haven't taken it too far out, because this is where I'm going to introduce my favorite trick. So this is our angled brow brush. And I'm going to use this brush to kind of pull the liner outwards. And so what that's done is almost created just like a little shadow, like a little template for where you might want your flick to go. And so then I can then use that to guide my flick. And with these, you can obviously wear them really thick and intense, but you don't always have to. You can also wear them really, really gently as well. So if I was to make this, well, let's say I got it wrong. So let me make a bit of a mistake. Let's make it a little bit too long and a little bit too thick. So what I would do here is I would again go back in with my angled brow brush. And I would grab a little, well, I mean, you could use a little bit of makeup remover or just any sort of moisture. And then you run it underneath. And that just really helps to kind of, again, take away the weight from that liner, but without leaving too much kind of residue on the eye area. And so that I find really, really helps to kind of give you a little bit more kind of control when it comes to liquid liner. Another thing when it comes to liquid liner as well is I would only ever really use it on the upper lash, purely because on the lower lash line, it can look very harsh and very solid, and it doesn't necessarily blend particularly well. If you're wanting to add eyeliner onto your lower lash line, I would always go for a kohl liner. So this is where I'm going to show you a lovely kind of smoky way to be able to use the liner. So I'm going to go for, obviously, the gorgeous olive green shade. And because I'm going to be smudging this outwards, you don't have to be quite so neat or precise with it. So I'm going to go in, making sure I get the right angle here. So again, holding the pencil kind of flat to my lash line. I'm going to make it a little bit thick as well, because obviously I'm going to blend this outwards. And then I'm going to use it underneath the eye as well. So quite messy. We could almost call it grungy if we wish. And then I'm going to use, so this here is the fantastic double-ended eyeshadow brush. And this is something which you can basically do kind of any eye makeup look with. And I'm going to use the slightly smaller end just to diffuse this liner. So I'm not going to kind of press too hard, because I don't want the liner to go kind of bitty or uneven, but I just almost want to create a little bit more of a kind of smoky effect for the liner. Well, those were two very, very quick tricks. But line is something which I find it's a really easy way to be able to kind of completely change up the look for your eye area. So for blue eyes, I mean, you have to go for Very Pretty Plum. Honestly, Very Pretty Plum is something which will just make blue just so pigmented and kind of vibrant. So that would look absolutely gorgeous. Also, the new brown as well would look fantastic, because it's got that ever so slightly kind of more like rust undertone to it. So that will also definitely intensify the blue of your eyes. When it comes to green, you could absolutely go for browns, will really, again, make green really kind of like pop for the eye area. But also, on the other hand, you don't always have to kind of go for contrasting shades with your eyeliner. You can absolutely go for the same shade as your eye color. And what that will do is will help to actually make your eyes appear bigger. So if you've got beautiful blue eyes, going for deep blue sea will again give that illusion of kind of lots more kind of, yeah, depth with the eyes. So the name of the khaki one is, so this is Glamouflage, great name. And then the name of the more coppery tone is So beautiful for being able to, again, just give a really lovely kind of soft, natural kind of enhancement to the eye area. So that was my obviously kind of presentation. So I would say, well, for green hazel eyes, out of the two new shades, I would actually probably go for, keep on forgetting the name, hazelnut, because with the slightly kind of warm undertone to this brown, it will also, again, really enhance the green in the eyes as well. But obviously, if you're wanting the eyes to kind of appear bigger, going for Glamouflage, which is the khaki green, would also look fantastic. But also, actually, let me show you, because so this here obviously is, this is Elemental. So this is the one which is the more kind of very, very light kind of silvery gold. And what you can always do with this is you can use it kind of almost on top of your eyeliner to give a little bit of a sparkle, or on the inner corner of the eye to, again, give a little bit more of a twinkle there as well. These eyeliners are really, really kind of diverse. So they're something which you can absolutely kind of play about with them. Like, if you often sometimes want to give a little bit more definition to kind of maybe the crease line, what you can do is you can go in with, for example, let me go for, so I'm going to grab, Turkish coffee, and I'm just going to kind of lightly take this kind of into the socket line. And then I'm going to go in with the double-ended blending brush and just blend that into the socket line. And it just gives that little bit more depth as well. So they're something which they're not just there to be liners. You can use them to give a soft bit of kind of color, a bit of shaping, a bit of added extra kind of, dimension to the eye area as well. And I just find liners are something which are so fun. Don't be scared about them, because one of the things I obviously always love to say, it's just makeup. So if it doesn't quite look right, or you're not quite comfortable with it, it comes off. But it's also all down to practice to kind of see what kind of shape looks best for your eye area. So I would say, so the best eyeliner to not end up kind of underneath the eye area, I mean, actually, so the newer shades, so obviously the 3 new shades that we have launched have definitely got a much stronger, kind of harder consistency. So these ones, I think, are much less likely to kind of end up below the eye area. But what I always do like to do, especially if I have gone for like a heavy liner look, I would use a little touch of translucent powder underneath the eye area. And that just helps to absorb any excess oil or moisture that might develop underneath the eye area throughout the day. And especially with kind of our powders as well, they're really, really lightweight. They're really finely milled. So they're not something which will look kind of overly kind of like cakey or kind of dry out underneath the eyes. So with these, you can use our amazing pencil sharpener. So it's a double-ended one. I love this sharpener because it's one which really does actually get them really beautifully sharp. If you do find you are struggling to really get kind of like a fine tip on your liner, what I quite like to do is when I pop it into the actual sharpener itself, I almost want to kind of press down on the outer edge of the liner so that it's really then focusing on the actual kind of lead part. Well, not made of lead, but the actual coal part of the pencil. And that gives a kind of, again, more focus to really be able to kind of create that gorgeous kind of pointed, defined end to the liner as well. Oh, yes, that is honestly, so refrigerating before sharpening. I started doing this, and honestly, probably one of the best tricks that I have ever heard. I wish I could take credit for it, but I absolutely cannot. And what it does is obviously it helps them to make sure that they are really firm so that it doesn't kind of like melt. And then you do get a really gorgeous kind of precise and precision with the liner as well. So yeah, fantastic, fantastic tip. So any further questions? Anything else that I can help you with when it comes to the wonderful world of liners? And I mean, the main thing which I do always say, I mean, I know I've already said it, but practicing, because you're not always going to get it firsthand. But when you do have your handy angled brow brush, this is just a really great way to be able to kind of sharpen and neaten up your liner. So for hooded eyes, so obviously what happens is kind of the main, well, your lash line is always kind of constantly will be kind of touching where your natural crease line would be. So when it comes to doing liner on hooded eyes, I would always really try and keep it right towards the kind of outer lash line so that it helps to really stop transferring. But also mainly what I would do is I would actually mainly focus on liner underneath the eye. Because a lot of the time we do always have kind of quite a bit of space here. So you can always add some liner into the waterline or into the lower lash line, and it gives that kind of sultry kind of bit of definition to the eye area, but helps to kind of stop any sort of kind of transfer as if you were going to do it on top of the lid as well. I'm trying to see. So I like to use eyeshadow sticks as a chunky liner. Absolutely, you can do that. And then if you're using those, you can then again go in with the angled brow brush to be able to kind of like neaten up any areas, or to be able to kind of give a bit more of a kind of a really gorgeous kind of from thin to thicker look for the liner as well. I mean, you can use anything as liner. I often sometimes will kind of dampen the angled brow brush, and then I'll go in with a little touch of even kind of our powder eyeshadows, and that will then create a little bit of liner as well, which is fantastic. So I can never get that little flick on the outer edge staying. Anything that can help. So sometimes, obviously, again, if your eyes are that little bit more hooded, it means there can be often a little bit more kind of movement on this outer area. My best thing to be able to kind of make sure that stays is I would definitely use our liquid liner, because that has a really, really good hold. But what you can then always do is actually even press just a little bit of eyeshadow over the top of it, and that really helps to kind of seal it in as well. So my eyelid makeup disappears apart from any primer, any tips. So when it comes to kind of the lids, obviously the lids is where the skin is at its thinnest, so moisture naturally will always be there. I would often say kind of avoid possibly using too many creamy products, because they will naturally kind of move a little bit more throughout the day. So sticking with powder. Also, I would concentrate your main application of color closer to the lash line rather than taking it kind of higher up or above the mobile part of the lid. And that should help it to kind of stay that little bit better on the actual lid. Let me trying to go back to see if I've missed any. I'm hoping I haven't missed any questions. Oh my God. There is nothing better than getting a fresh haircut. Dana, I hope you love it. I hope you love it. I definitely need to go in and get a haircut. Oof. Actually, it's always very silly. Every time I go in and get a haircut, I basically don't get a haircut. I end up getting extensions, so my hair ends up longer. So it really, again, it really depends. I find personally our cream eyeshadow sticks have an amazing longevity because you basically, when you apply them, you have a few seconds to be able to kind of blend them out, and then they really do kind of like fuse and set. I find if you're wanting to use a powder eyeshadow, using our eyeshadow primer first will really help that to also last much longer. So they both are great. It's just for, I would say, if you're wanting something quick and easy, I would go for the cream eyeshadow sticks. But if you have the time to be able to kind of prep the eye area first, then I would use our eyeshadow primer first and then finish off with our any one of our gorgeous eyeshadow quads. Yeah, they are, honestly. They are amazing. And obviously sometimes if you do ever find that it's kind of maybe ever so slightly starting to crease, we've all got to remember we are human. Our eyes do open and close, and you can always literally just take your finger and kind of almost just press it over where your natural crease line is, and that will again really help to kind of like smooth out any sort of product that might have got caught up in the natural crease line. Yes, the One Powder Wonder is amazing as a primer, and it's a lovely one because it's also really lightweight, so it's not something which will feel too kind of like heavy or dense, especially if you're wanting to apply a lot of other colors on top of the lid as well. Don't, honestly, yeah, practice makes perfect. And once you've got the angle brow brush, honestly, it just makes everything so much easier, and you just have so much more control, and you're then able to kind of really guide and really be able to kind of give a lot more of a kind of creative liner look for the eye area. So for oily lids, I would probably say go for the powder, purely because it's just great at helping to really soak up any excess oil. And it's the same with kind of any sort of makeup. If you are oily, the less product you use and the more lightweight product you use, the more long lasting it will be. So if you've got oilier lids, I would definitely recommend going for a powder rather than a cream primer. Would you say to use just the eyeliner on the outer edges rather than along most of the lash line? Well, I mean, I personally think, I mean, you can, again, it's all very personal, and it's all down to you. I personally find when people take their eyeliner all the way into that inner corner of the eye, it can often close off the eye and just make the eyes appear a bit smaller. So by kind of on top of the lash line, going almost kind of like a third or even halfway in, and then taking it out, it helps to just give a little bit more of a kind of open look for the eye area. But obviously, if you're wanting to go for kind of a more sultry, sexy, smoky eye, you can absolutely kind of really go for it with the eyeliners, because you're wanting to kind of create that kind of, again, kind of more focus on the actual eye itself. So I would always do eyeliner first, and then I would finish with mascara, because if you were to do your mascara first, you would have to wait a while for it to make sure that it's dried. Otherwise, you can often end up kind of smudging your mascara. Plus, after you've done your liner, when you're applying your mascara, you're then able to see just that little bit more kind of how much mascara you need. Because sometimes if you're going for a more natural look and you kind of applied lots and lots of layers of mascara and then you apply an eyeliner, that's when it can just be a little bit too kind of overwhelming. So the trick of, lining the upper part of the waterline. So with that, I don't normally do it, only because I have an absolute fear of going anywhere near my eyeballs. But whenever I've done it on other people, what you kind of want to do is you want to basically get a Q-tip and then kind of hold it up so that you're exposing that kind of top lash line there to be able to then tightline it. And that will really, really help you to be able to then get kind of really gorgeous kind of density of color there, but without kind of hopefully going anywhere near the actual eye itself. Fabulous. Well, I hope, honestly, this has again been an absolute pleasure. I hope you have all enjoyed this as much as I have. I hope you're all so excited to get the new eyeliners as well, because they are amazing. Obviously, I'm all expecting you to say that you have now got the fantastic angled brow brush, because I mean, it's just so multifunctional. It does absolutely everything. But I look forward to hopefully seeing you all again for my next masterclass. I'm going to go off and have a little think about what I should talk about. Obviously, everyone, you know, send in your tips, your ideas, because I always want to make sure that I am helping you all in every way possible. Corinne, yes. I'll do some more eye makeup looks. I'm thinking for my next live, which I know won't be for the next 2 weeks as I am off, but I will do a kind of more glam eye look, particularly kind of guiding more towards hooded lids as well. Well, thank you so much, everyone. And I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day and a fantastic rest of your week. And I can't wait to see you all again very soon. Take care. Bye.